Hi, my name is Mark from Chicago Flyhouse. Today we're going to look at the industry standard for 3 dead wraps on a groove drum. Why do we have that, and how much load is actually being transferred back to that termination? So we're going to test it in 4 different ways, with 3 dead wraps, 2 dead wraps, 1 dead wrap, and no dead wraps. And we're going to see, putting load on one side of the wire, how much of that load is transferred back to the termination in the drum. All right, so here's the setup we're doing today. What I've got set up is 2 load cells, one at the top and one at the bottom. What we're trying to do is determine, when we put a 1,400-pound load here on the line, as if this was a hoist, how much of that is getting transferred to the termination. Now, we don't put a termination here. We moved it over to another load cell that we've anchored to the ground over here. That's going to read up on this screen. This way, we'll be able to determine with 0 wraps, with 1 wrap, with 2 wraps, and with 3 wraps, how much of that load is actually being seen by that termination. Okay, so what we're going to do is put the 1,400 pounds here. 1,400 pounds is a 5-to-1 safety factor on 1/4-inch wire rope. That's what this is, 1/4-inch wire rope. We're using a 10-inch drum that we had laying around, a 10-inch diameter that's grooved for 1/4-inch wire rope. And then we're diverting that through a typical hole in the drum down to the other load cell down here. You notice on the first test where we had no revolutions on the drum, a great percent of the load got transferred to that lower termination or load cell. A little less when we did 1 wrap, a little less when we did 2, and almost nothing when we did 3 dead wraps. It shows you that with 3 dead wraps, all of that load basically squeezes and transfers on that drum and doesn't go back to the termination. So when you look at a stop swage as a terminator in a drum, which is often used by many manufacturers, that's only rated at 40%. If we only have 1 revolution on that drum before we terminate that, we are going to be exceeding the capacity of that termination, which means we're going to reduce our overall capacity of our wire rope. By having those 3 dead wraps, we're maintaining 100% the capacity of the wire rope, even though the stop swage is only rated at 40%. Thanks again for watching. I think that was a really informative test. It's something that we talk a lot about in our training. People ask us a lot, why 3 dead wraps? When you're not using a stop swage and you are terminating with an oval swage that has 100% capacity of the wire rope, technically that 3rd dead wrap isn't necessary, but it's still a good industry standard to have the 3 dead wraps, and we know that termination is really not holding much load at all.